I have had this for a bit now, and a few people ask me about it, so here is my take. This is a simple, time-only Submariner with a black dial and no date window. It is the version a lot of people picture when they think of a classic dive watch, even if they never actually take it diving. If you want something you can wear every day that does not feel delicate, and you also want a design that does not look trendy or loud, this is the kind of watch that makes sense. If you need the date on your wrist all the time, I will be honest, you might miss it here. I did at the beginning. The first thing I noticed wearing it day to day is how clean the dial looks. With no date window, nothing interrupts the layout. The hour markers feel evenly spaced, the hands are easy to track, and my eyes do not have to search for anything. When I glance down while I am walking, driving, or working at a desk, it is just quick and readable. I did not realize how much a date window can pull your attention until I wore this for a full week and got used to the symmetry. On my wrist, the size lands in a comfortable zone, but it wears a little larger than the number suggests. The case has some heft, and the lugs are broader than older Submariners I have tried on. It does not feel like a small, thin watch. It feels like a tool that happens to look good with normal clothes. It sits flat enough that it does not constantly catch on my jacket cuff, but I still notice it is there, especially when I am typing. After a couple of days, it becomes familiar, like the weight of a ring you wear all the time. The steel has that typical Rolex look where it reflects light in a clean way, but I am going to describe it in a more practical way. It feels dense and tightly finished. When I run a finger along the edge of the case and the bracelet, the transitions feel crisp. Nothing feels sharp in a bad way, just well defined. The bezel edge is easy to grip even with slightly wet hands, which matters more than people think if you actually use the bezel to time things. I use the bezel constantly, not for diving, but for normal stuff. Timing coffee, timing a parking meter, timing a quick break so I do not lose track of time. The clicks feel firm and consistent. It does not feel loose, and it does not feel like it might move accidentally in my pocket or under a sleeve. The bezel insert is ceramic, and in real life that mostly means I do not worry about it getting scratched up the way an aluminum insert can. I am not careful with it. It has been on tables, brushed against door frames, knocked lightly against the edge of my sink when I was rinsing it. So far it still looks the same. The numbers on the bezel are easy to read in different lighting, including the kind of weird indoor lighting where some watches just go flat. The bracelet is a big part of why this is easy to live with. The Oyster bracelet feels solid, and the clasp has a simple adjustment system that I ended up using more than I expected. When it is hot out and my wrist swells a little, I can open the clasp and extend it slightly without tools. That sounds like a small thing, but it changes how often I actually want to wear it. I have owned watches that feel perfect in the morning and annoyingly tight by mid-afternoon. With this, I can fix the fit in seconds and move on. Daily use is straightforward, but there are a couple of things you should know. The crown screws down, so when I set the time, I unscrew it, set it, then screw it back in. It becomes habit, but if you are new to screw-down crowns, you want to take a second and make sure it is seated correctly before tightening. I do not force it. I gently turn it back until I feel the threads catch, then tighten. That is just a simple way to avoid cross-threading. I wore it through normal life. Desk work, groceries, commuting, cooking, taking walks, and a couple of workouts where I did not want something fragile on my wrist. I have also had it in water, including swimming, and I have worn it in the shower a few times. I'm not saying everyone should shower with a mechanical watch, but I can tell you I have done it and I did not have any issues. After salt water or pool water, I rinse it in fresh water, wipe it down, and it is fine. The peace of mind is real. I do not baby this watch, and that is part of the point for me. Legibility in the dark is another thing I noticed quickly. The lume is bright, and it lasts long enough that I can still read it later at night without charging it again. I check the time in a dark bedroom sometimes, and I do not have to angle my wrist around looking for a reflection. It is just there. Now, about the no-date thing. For the first couple of days, I caught myself wanting to glance at the date, especially when I was scheduling stuff or filling out a form. I ended up using my phone for that, and after a while it stopped bothering me. What I got in return is a dial that always looks balanced. It is one of those choices where you are trading convenience for simplicity. For me, the simplicity one, but I can see how it would not for everyone. Inside, it uses the Rolex caliber 3130 movement. I am not going to turn this into a spec recital, but I will tell you what I saw in real use. Over the time I wore it, it ran very consistently. I checked it against my phone, and I was seeing a small gain of about a second or two per day. That is good enough that I stopped thinking about it. The power reserve is around 2 days. In practice, if I take it off Friday night and pick it up Sunday morning, it is usually still running. If I leave it longer than that, I have to set it again. I do not mind, but it is something to understand if you rotate watches. There is no mobile app here and there are no smart features. This is not a smartwatch and it does not try to be. The only thing it does is tell time, and it gives you a rotating bezel for timing. That is honestly part of the appeal. When my phone is buzzing, this does not join the conversation. It just sits there and does its job. There are some real downsides. The polished parts of the bracelet and clasp pick up hairline scratches quickly if you do desk work. After a few days at a laptop, I could already see marks. You can also get little scuffs if you bump it against a door or a countertop. I do not think that is a flaw, it is just the reality of a shiny finish. If you want something that stays looking untouched, you will either stress out or you will not wear it. I wear it, so it shows normal wear. Another limitation is that it is recognizable. Even people who do not know watches sometimes recognize the shape. Depending on where you live and where you travel, that can make you think twice about wearing it in certain places. I have had moments on public transport where I instinctively pulled my sleeve down. That is not about the watch itself being fragile, it is just about it being noticeable. One more thing that surprised me is that it feels a bit chunkier than I expected. Not in a bad way, but if you are coming from a thinner dress watch, you will notice the extra case presence. It is comfortable, but it has a sturdy feel that you cannot ignore. Overall, my impression is that the Submariner 114060 is a straightforward, durable daily watch with a clean dial that stays readable in basically any situation. It works with casual clothes, it works with a button down, and it does not feel out of place most of the time. It is not trying to be complicated. It is just a solid, time-only watch with a bezel I actually use. If you have been thinking about a Submariner and you like the idea of the no-date layout, I get it now. I did not expect to care about the symmetry as much as I do, but after living with it, it is the thing I notice every time I look down. If you enjoyed this video, subscribe to the channel and leave a comment with your experience with the Submariner or what watch you are considering next. Thank you for watching.